Hello everyone, we're back again with another critique video. Today on the channel we have Durian Rider. Yeah, I've had many requests to cover Durian Rider's nonsense. I'm not familiar with who he is, really. I know that he is a fitness, health, fruitarian influencer on YouTube that posts very regularly, and he is a cyclist in particular, and he runs a lot. So it's a lot of cardio that he does, basically. Okay, fine. Now, what makes him believe that he is remotely competent to speak upon the area of human nutrition as a fruitarian, I have no real clue about. So let's find out if he actually has any voracious knowledge about this topic at all, any accurate information about this topic, and about particularly fitness, exercise physiology, something that I'm very, very familiar with. So, with that being said, let's waste no further time and get directly into this video. But first, just like always, please subscribe to the Patreon if you haven't already to gain access to 1 week early uploads, ad-free content, uncensored content, and an exclusive Discord server when signing up to be a Tier 3 member. And also, if you haven't bought my book Contrainidicated, I'd recommend doing that as well. Links to both of those in the description below. And now, let's get into position and start this.
Let's talk about the carnivore fraud. Where is my little pussycat tomcat around here? Johnny. Paul's.
Do you mean fraud? Oh, he just answered the question right there. I was going to ask, does he mean fraud as in the entire diet? Which also begs the question as to what that diet is, because the carnivore diet isn't one thing. There are multiple variations of such, dozens, if not hundreds of variations, possible variations at least. Or does he mean a person? And he just answered that by saying Paul, which I'm assuming that it's going to be Paul Saladino, who absolutely is a fraud, but he's not representative of the carnivore space. So I don't know why he's going to pick on him. I mean, the video title, sorry for not covering that in the beginning, is The Carnivore Diet Debunked in 14 Minutes. So let's say if he does anything remotely similar to debunking in these 14 minutes, if we can even get through these 14 minutes in full. So anyway, Paul Saladino, yes, he's a fraud, so what?
Saladino, Shawn Baker, all the...
Shawn Baker is not a fraud. I'd like you to expound upon why you believe them to be frauds. And in reality, this also begs the question as to whether the presence of fraudulent figures within a space that represents a diet, for example, in this instance, necessarily means that the diet itself is something that you should not be consuming. And the answer to that is no, not necessarily. But anyway...
carnivore frauds. Now, no hate to them. This is just a video showing my comments and criticisms.
No, that's just a bunch of nonsense, Durian Rider. Whatever your actual name is. You absolutely do not care if people perceive your rhetoric as hate towards them. In fact, I would suspect that you would want them to see it as that, because it's sensational, it's inflammatory, it's censorious, is probably the better word to use. You know what you're doing. Anyway.
Themselves out there in the public domain, as I do, and we all get our criticisms, and that's just what makes the debate, yeah, professional, etc. But I'm just people comes up. I'm just on Paul Saladino's website here, and he used to call himself the Carnivore MD. And
right, because he wanted to capitalize on the sensational nature of the word carnivore in your name at that point, because calling yourself a carnivore years ago was something that is far more accepted now as it was back then. And so it was provocative, that's a good word to use there, and it served its purpose until he realized that he garnered enough of a following to the point where he didn't really care if his growth rate decreased if he changed it to Paul Saladino MD, which it now is, because he had already once again garnered enough of a following. And so what he did was he changed his name and then pretended in a magnanimous sort of feigning of nobility sort of way, said that he changed his name because it was the right thing to do. Well, the more I thought about it, took you years to think about the fact that you're not a carnivore anymore, Paul, and that you should probably change your name. Definitely change your name. I've covered this on my channel before on all of the various criticisms of Paul that I've done. Please go ahead and binge the channel. Check those videos out. You can search for them on the homepage. So, anyway, shall we continue?
Just eat meat. And Paul Saladino claims he doesn't use any anabolic steroids. I call bullshit on that, and he claims he doesn't use any.
Why do you call bullshit on that? I've said a lot of things about Paul. I've vehemently disagree with him on many things, and in fact I have a lot of disdain for his fraudulent grifter nature. But his physique is not impressive enough to warrant the speculation of him engaging in the introduction or administration of exogenous steroids, like TRT even. It's pretty attainable what he has. He eats a lot of animal protein. In fact, that's the majority of his protein content. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. I think that's just a cope, a desperate dismissal of something that may or may not threaten your perception of the proper human diet. Anyway.
Cerule or modafinil or Ritalin or whatever, and I call bull that too.
Well, that's just a cope. I just covered that. That is a desperate cope, because you can't fathom the thought of someone eating like Paul does, which is something that, once again, no one should ever do, and simultaneously exhibiting ostensibly sufficient brain capacity and intellectual capacity, okay? No one said that you won't have sufficient intellectual capacity eating the way Paul does. I just don't think it's the most conducive approach to maintaining or increasing intellectual capacity. And also, once again, Durian Rider, I say once again, I didn't really cover this at all, he's not just eating meat and fruit. He's doing a lot of other things as well that may or may not have a positive impact on intellect. You may want to consider adopting those things, given your, again, ostensible absence of such an intellect. Okay? Okay.
Once you've used these compounds, as I have, you can spot it in other people very, very clearly. Just like you can spot
All right, so this is also a desperate attempt to aggrandize yourself in the perception of ignorant people by pretending that you're greater than you actually are. I mean, this was like the cope that I saw whenever I was growing up, and in myself as well, because I was a kid, and I did this because I was a child, where if I didn't know something, or I didn't know how to do something, I would cope by pretending that I actually did, and it was just the thing itself that was the problem. Here's a fun story. I played video games a lot whenever I was a kid. Black Ops, zombies, a lot of it. Most of the time, that's what it was. And I got so used to just saying that something was a glitch when something went wrong instead of my own doings. So used to it, in fact, that it became part of my slang, and it would happen whenever I did something wrong in the real world. It was about a 3 to 6 month phase, and it was the silliest thing that I had ever done. This is what that reminds me of. A little bit of self-deprecation today. I was about 11 years old. I'd throw a football a wrong way, and I'd go, glitch. Good. Good job. But this is what that reminds me of. Oh, when you take it enough, you just know. You just know. Like, yeah, you're just coping. You're just coping with the situation not going the way that you want it to go. That being, when someone eats a lot of meat and fruit, particularly the meat that you're not a fan of, then they should have poor intellect and they should behave and function poorly. But since that doesn't seem to be the case with Paul, you have to cope and construct a desperate, contrived reason as to why that's not the case. Even though deep down, I feel like you just know that that's a cope yourself.
a little faux fur hat here, or a gold necklace. If you know, you know, okay? So these guys out there, they just claim bullshit, but...
Yes, there are guys out there that claim a lot of bullshit. Good. I'm glad that you're finally coming to be aware of that, Durian Rider. I'm facing one right now. I'm contending with one right now. You are a fruitarian. Well... that sentence is ambiguous, isn't it? Because actually, you're not a fruitarian. You consume a fruitarian diet. You're not a fruitarian, you're a carnivore, and you should be eating as such. You know, have you ever wondered why the word obligate is in the name obligate carnivore or obligate omnivore, depending on what animal is concerned? You are obligated to eat that way for your species. That's the reason the word is there. Anyway.
To Paul Saladino, where credit's due, is that he does admit he's open about his carbohydrate, his sugar intake, okay?
Yes, he is very open to it because he knows that that will also help him garner a larger following because people love hearing that their addiction is justified in some pseudo-sophisticated way, which Paul provides them. Pseudo-sophistication in order to justify the maintenance or perpetuation of their addiction and or addictive tendencies.
Cranking sugar, because he admitted, which is pretty good, he admitted that a carnivore diet is just bullshit.
No, that's his opinion, and that's your opinion. Bullshit is not a technical term. It's a vapid one, thrown as a silly little epithet towards the diet by ignorant, and not just ignorant, arrogantly ignorant people like yourself, Sunshine.
Unsustainable. Yeah, he's still... you know, he's still in that carnivore scene, which is good.
No, he's not. There are people that tenaciously hold on to this idealistic image of Paul Saladino, and therefore still consider him a wealth of nuanced knowledge that are within the carnivore space. That doesn't mean that he is exactly in the carnivore space. He has made it very clear his opinions on the diet. And again, I'm saying the diet as if it's one thing for simplicity's sake, but just remember that it's not just one thing. There are inappropriate carnivore diets and there's proper ones. A diet of only milk is carnivore. So, but he's made his opinions very clear on the generally thought of diet, carnivore diet, that people think about when they hear carnivore diet. He mocks it, he casually dismisses it, perfunctorily, and in a way it's not perfunctory at all because he spends a lot of time just criticizing and chastising such a diet in inane, asinine ways. So anyway, let's continue.
Introducing people to eat more sugar in their diet, which is always a good thing.
No, it's never a good thing. So, first sign right there. Well, the first sign was that he was a fruitarian. The second sign was him just openly admitting to the fact that he believes that eating a lot of sugar is a good thing. Carbohydrates, putting aside all of the damage they cause when exogenously introduced into the body, such as glycation and then the subsequent formation of AGEs, which go on to glycate tissues even further, they're not required for human consumption, okay? They're the only macronutrient that's considered a macronutrient in the first place that is not required for human consumption. And I'm sorry, but the one macronutrient that is not required for human consumption is not the one that we should be consuming primarily. That is stupid and silly on its face, okay? Okay.
No, you know. Now,
well, if you know, you know. Yes, if you know what the you're talking about, then you know what the you're talking about. If you don't know what the you're talking about, then you don't know what the you're talking about. Durian Rider, you do not know what the you're talking about. I wish that I knew your name, but I don't know your name at all. Anyway.
Now, but how many people died in car accidents or trying to ride their bicycle or go to the gym and do exercises whilst in a ketogenic state? And
what the is wrong with you? What the hell are you talking about? Are you serious right now? This is the quality that we're gonna get, or lack thereof, from Durian Rider? I was expecting a little better than this. Sir, let's just shorten it to that. Sir, ketogenesis is not what you're talking about in the first place because, believe it or not, you're in ketogenesis right now. Okay? All of us are to a certain extent. Ketogenesis is simply the production of ketone bodies. Wow. Anyway, what you're talking about is ketosis, the reliance on primarily ketones and fatty acids for ATP production in the body. Okay. Your question actually is the answer to the question. You said, how many people have died in car accidents from being in ketosis? Your question answers the question because the fact that you have to ask the question demonstrates that there's no answer to that. You know why? Because there's no significant amount of data for that. You know why? Because it doesn't happen, okay? People aren't dying in car accidents from being in ketosis. You moron. Wow. All right. Can't wait for more. Can't wait for the rest.
Have a massive hypoglycemic attack or faint or pass out or...
Wow. Hypoglycemic shock occurs in very specific situations, okay? Starvation can cause it, all right? Bona fide starvation. Hypoglycemia also can occur, hypoglycemic shock particularly, can occur if you are someone that has extremely poor blood sugar regulation as a result of eating large amounts of carbohydrates that are very readily broken down in one meal. I actually know someone that knew someone like this, and she was diagnosed with hypoglycemia and was given sugar pills. Wow. And that's because of the large, vast amount of insulin that's released from the pancreas as a response to that is more than the body actually needs to get the glucose down. So it gets too much glucose down, and then it's just a feedback loop. It's a recurring situation, okay? Because once again, we must remember that exogenous glucose, exogenous sugar in general, is a drug. It is absolutely a drug. Yes, it is. It fits every criterion of drug. Just because sugar is not as consequential in its actions as other drugs readily are, does not mean that it is exempt from being a drug. Sugar is not exculpated in this situation. As much as people want to exonerate sugar in such a fashion, it is not exonerated. I wrote about this in my book, Contrainidicated. First edition is still out right now. Link in the description. Second edition will be out soon enough.
Not pay attention and get boom, hit by a car, driving up to work, just bang, go for an intersection, didn't see the red light, and then they're dead. Literally because they followed Saladino's advice, Shawn Baker's...
No, literally not because of that at all, you moron. Man, I was talking about a desperate cope earlier. You want to talk about a desperate cope? It's this. Who believes this? I mean, seriously, if you are a viewer that is new to this channel and you still are ambivalent about the idea of removing carbohydrates from your diet, fine, at least completely. You believe that we need some sugar in our diet for optimal health. Listening to is that a good argument? Is that an enticing, convincing argument there? I mean, I know that he's not exactly arguing anything, but is that an enticing concern? Is that a significant concern? When you hear it, does it sound significant? Or does it sound like a desperate, manufactured problem?
All these fake natty frauds, in my opinion, advice...
Yeah, it's just your opinion. Thank you for being so humble as to say that. We must remind ourselves that these are all just opinions from people. And some opinions mean something, especially when you know what the you're talking about. And other opinions don't mean quite so much, like Sir Durian Riders here. Cyclist.
Advice, and they had... We don't hear about them. We don't hear about...
Exactly. You don't hear about them. It doesn't happen. Oh yes, cause of death, ketosis. Are you out of your mind? Wow, this is amazing.
Okay, we don't hear about them. We don't hear about the deaths.
That's the point. Well, thanks for undermining your own damn argument. You don't hear about them, so you're just making up.
that are caused by people in ketosis who fail to pay attention in traffic, driving their car along, riding their...
What? Well, look, we covered it, so I won't cover this any further, but wow, you talk about desperation. We're winning this battle, and it's great to see, but you can't let up. You can't get complacent.
It's cool walking across the street in La La Land, brain fog world.
Right, so this may be projection, actually, because glycation, anyone? Glycated brain tissues as a result of fructose intake, sucrose intake, glucose intake, sorbitol intake, actually, as well, which is contained within fruit, causes cells to burst because of its osmotic force. You ever heard of the polyol pathway?
On Instagram, you see those people walking on the beach and sugary ginger ale, alcohol free, sugar. It's a soda, by the way. It's a sugar soft drink.
One may want to think about the absolute fact, that fructose metabolism in the liver results in the same metabolites as ethanol metabolism. They don't have the same effects, but you do have to understand that our mitochondria can oxidize glucose, in effect. It's pyruvate, but glucose, fatty acids, ketone bodies, and alcohol. You might be wondering, well, why? What was the evolutionary pressure for us to develop a way of metabolizing ethanol, alcohol? Well, when you let fruit ferment in the wild, what do you have in it? Alcohol. So it would explain that fruit, which is really high in fructose, it can develop ethanol as well, which can explain why there may be a similarity, or why there is a similarity between the metabolites of fructose in the liver and ethanol in the liver. It doesn't mean they're the same thing. I'm not pretending that, okay? That's not true. They have different effects, and ethanol is more immediately toxic than fructose is. But it's just an interesting point to add, since he wants to talk about alcohol-free but sugar-laden ginger ale.
No sucrose here, no stevia here. We do real sugars. Okay, we do real sugars here.
Wow. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear, Durian Rider. Very glad to hear. You're the man, aren't you? Big man.
None of this government crap. Anyway, the mainstream wants you off sugar, doesn't it? The mainstream.
What delusional you want to talk about La La Land, Durian Rider? You're living in it. That's the thing about living in La La Land, okay? La La Land, delusional land, okay? When you live in delusional land, since you are delusional, you think the other people that are living in normal land are in delusional land. That's literally a consequence of living in La La Land, idiot. I mean, this guy's an offensive moron, frankly.
Pushing meat
militantly? Are you kidding me? Wow. There is an industry that promotes meat and dairy. Those would be the meat industries and the dairy industry. Do you think they make up the majority of, I don't know, the mainstream? They're being cracked down on more than any other industry regarding food and diet and all that. Plant-based is the mainstream, Durian Rider. That's their whole goal, is to try and get us to eat plants because it's better for the though. The agenda is the mainstream. We're turning that around with the help of my fellow American voters. But wow.
Medicine, machines, militia, it's pushing anti-sugar like anything.
No, they're not. They're doing the exact opposite. And if you want any evidence as to how delusional he is, it's that. It's the agenda that we hear about. Is that mainstream or is that fringe? It's the former. The agenda says that we should be eating more plants. They are pushing plant-based propaganda on us. That is what it is. Okay? Wow.
It says that anti-sugar is so mainstream and PC. Anyway.
No, it's not mainstream. I mean, are you talking about people like Andrew Huberman? He's sort of mainstream, but that's no. That's a spectrum. He's mainstream within the fringe. That's really what you should be explaining it as.
Where were we? So you see it on Instagram, you see these people, they walk along the beach, a little wave comes, they get knocked over, and they get washed out, and people have to save them. You see these...
Oh, God. Is this... Seriously? This is the argument? Sir, you see a lot of people on Instagram doing a lot of things. And by the way, they're not representative of the normal population, or else it wouldn't be posted on Instagram.
Reels on Instagram, don't you? On these reels.
Yes, you see a lot of fails on Instagram. Great, good. So I just covered that, didn't I? About 5 seconds ago, before I played the video again.
How are people so unaware of their situations? How are people so deficient in situational awareness? They're following Joe Rogan. They're following Andrew Huberman.
Oh, yes, following Joe Rogan. You know, by the way, most people that follow Joe Rogan are not following Joe Rogan for Joe Rogan. They're following him for all of the people he features on his channel, by the way. But also, Joe Rogan is not carnivore. One of his main sponsors is Athletic Greens.
Fitness isn't just about what you do in the gym, it's also about your nutrition. But even with the best diet, some nutrients can be hard to get, and AG1 can help fill those gaps.
Yeah, and Andrew Huberman. So I just mentioned him. Andrew Huberman is not a carnivore, and he's not anti-sugar, quote unquote. Look, he had Lane Norton on his podcast and looks up to him and believes everything that Lane Norton has to say about health and nutrition. It seems. If he heard me say that, he'd probably object, but not the point. He has said very, very venerating things about Lane Norton, who is an absolute querulous, insecure, petulant little child who was bullied in high school very clearly, and frankly, I think might be influenced in a bully-like fashion by his wife to say certain things, because I don't know any man that still has his balls attached that talks about and complains about mansplaining.
So, Paul, and to anyone watching, the next time you feel the need to mansplain to cancer patients,
But anyway,
These keto, sugar's bad, NPC acting as like alternative people, and they're just straight up NPC.
acting like alternative people. Holy shit. Well, covered that. Let's just try and really get through this. Let's get to some different claims, if he can even offer them at all.
Shills for this mainstream system. Even though they say
Right, shills for the mainstream system. Good. Yeah, shills for that agenda. Yep.
things that aren't too, mainstream, but their biggest one is nutrition, right? They're nutritionally pushing these bullshit, dangerous diets.
All right, so that's your opinion. That is your inane, stupid opinion, stemming from ignorance, founded in ignorance.
Carnivore.
Yes, carnivore. We are carnivores, Durian Rider. Have you ever looked at a energy pyramid? Okay, at the bottom, it's herbivores. In the middle, it's omnivores. And at the very top, it's carnivores. And at the very, 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 very top of that hierarchy are the apex predators. And wait, I'm sorry. Who were those again? Homo sapiens sapiens. Okay, but apparently we're supposed to be omnivores because, oh, well, humans are different from other animals. Well, yes, obviously, but we're only different in one way. And that's with respect to our ability to reason and to think rationally. Okay? Everything else that you believe to be different between human beings and animals is subsidiary to that one reason. Oh, well, we can speak and talk to people. Well, our ability to reason. Oh, well, we can form civilization and act virtuously and morally and sacrifice for the future. Ability to reason. With respect to dietary patterns, no, we're not different. Okay, stable nitrogen and carbon isotope analyses conducted on the collagen of the long bones of ancient human remains using mass spectroscopy shows unequivocally, repeatedly, all across the world, with all human remains that precede the agricultural revolution that occurred about 13,000 years ago, roughly speaking, that we are hypercarnivorous. And in fact, we had higher carnivore ratings than that of lions, wolves, foxes, and hyenas, which not only means that we ate more meat than them with respect to the ratio of animal products to plant products or materials, but also means that we were eating them, okay? People in Africa still taunt lions and steal their food from them. Not saying that that's something that you should do per se, but what I am saying is that we have the capacity, given our ability to reason, to hunt those animals and kill them if we wanted to, okay? And we did that historically. So, off.
Carnivores. Imagine me walking into the jungle today and go, hey, lions, hey, jackals and hyenas and vultures up there too, hey, look down here. I'm a carnivore. Hear me roar.
Well, they wouldn't really respond to you. They'd probably eat you. You'd be a idiot if you did that. Once again, what we did was not brazenly and brashly assert ourselves in front of animals like that. We were tactical with our approaches. We formulated and produced manufactured tools to hunt them. We were surreptitious. Of course, the lack of intellect that I suspect that you have may very well make it to where you hunted like that. You just ostentatiously asserted yourself in front of lethal, dangerous animals like that. But anyway, to not be so pedantic and captious here, get over it. We absolutely are carnivores, and we did hunt animals like that regularly. Not necessarily on a daily basis, but anyway.
Oh, there's a gazelle. Let me run down the I'm
Yeah, let you run down and hunt it? Yeah, that's what we did. Goodness me.
I'm faster than 99.9% of any man currently walking the earth today.
You have no idea if that's true or not. So this is your arrogance and your hubris talking again, not your objectivity if you even have any. And I suspect that once again you don't, because ideologues like you don't have the capacity for objective analysis of facts in front of your face, okay? You're a fruitarian. That's your giveaway right there, okay? Once again, I'm going to instill that. I'm going to emphasize that throughout this video. You're a fruitarian. But anyway, put your away.
Run a 1500 meter or 5K. I am fast.
Okay, who cares?
Than 99.9% of men out there.
Great. So what?
Can't run down a gazelle. I've got no chance.
So, once again, you're assuming that we would just brazenly run at a animal and try and strangle it with our bare hands. Are you That's a new one. I haven't said that on the channel yet.
World record holder for the marathon couldn't run down a gazelle, all right?
So f***ing what? Wow.
If you get close to a gazelle, it's going to kick you in the face. We lack the...
So maybe we don't get close to them. This is amazing. I'm actually really glad that I'm showcasing this video today on the channel. Just to show you how stupid the... By the way, don't believe that this guy is some fringe content creator. 245,000 subscribers. Are you people listen to this guy and think of him as a credible source of information. Wow. I mean, what are the... I mean, look, this has 7.7 thousand views, to be fair. I understand why people are anti-sugar, since most of the sugar people are eating from processed foods that are loaded with fat and other chemicals. They don't realize it's the fat that is making them fat, not the sugar. Sugar is the scapegoat. Wow. Anyway.
Hangs in the claw. Well, I've got an AR-15.
Yes, we have tools. Why are you well, he's facepalming because he's an ignorant, offensive head. That's really what's going on here. Dunning-Kruger effect. The most stupid people of all always do this. 70 IQ, and I actually, I'm not even exaggerating. There are people in the world that have like an IQ level of 70, okay? Plus or minus, because that's a rough estimate. It's very difficult to measure intelligence with a number. But anyway, those people, if they are not self-aware, which usually requires higher intellect, always facepalm and call everything stupid. I'm not kidding. Do you know what demographic of people facepalm and call things stupid every 5 seconds? Children. And I'm not kidding. Any of you guys that are parents, guarantee you know that. Huh, that's stupid. That's dumb. Huh, that's stupid. Yeah, they're always the ones saying that. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Which carnivore in nature uses a spear or AR-15? You know?
Us. We're the only ones. What carnivore in nature has the ability to reason like we do? No animal at all, actually. But since we do, you can expect us to exhibit different hunting behavior as compared to any other animal as well, you dolt. What the hell kind of argument is this?
It's the Joe Rogan low IQ logic.
Low IQ. See, the people that have the lowest IQ always call everything and other people stupid. They're the ones that do it more frequently than the people that have higher IQs, by the way. Again, a consequence of living in La La Land is believing that every single other person that doesn't live in your La La Land is in La La Land. You never realize that you're in La La Land, okay? Until you do, I guess. The Matrix.
You can't get through to these people, man.
See that? More projection. You will never, ever be able to get through to Durian Rider. Ever. People that are that stupid and also have the lowest amount of conscientiousness that you can attain, or at least close to it, no point in talking to them. Not by my estimation.
And you got to laugh at it. But
hubris, arrogance, and again, hints of desperate dismissals because he can't fathom the idea that something can be effective at attaining optimal health. It makes him insecure of his ideology.
Look, if we're designed to be carnivore, which is bullshit because we vomit.
No, it's not bullshit. It's not bullshit. You know what's bullshit is eating a fruitarian diet, a fruit-based diet, especially as a athlete. Where is your bioavailable protein? Where the is it? Because it's not in your fruit.
Because we vomit at the sight of blood. Like,
okay, that's an exaggeration. Okay, maybe some people do. Have you ever heard of social conditioning? Are we the same as our ancestors were 50, 100, 150,000 years ago? The answer to that is no, okay? But social conditioning is very powerful. My stepfather has hunted animals, deer in particular, and he drags them into a shed, effectively, hangs them by their feet, and drains their blood. So frankly, not everyone vomits at the sight of blood from animals. Social conditioning is a real thing. Did you know that some people vomit whenever they, I don't know, have to eat peas when they're a kid, okay? Now, frankly, that might actually be because, I don't know, it's a sign that we shouldn't be eating that because they're so young that they haven't really had time to be conditioned. But the point is that just because you may dislike something initially does not mean that you can't develop a taste for it. So alcohol is a perfect example of that. But second of all, further to that, stemming from that, that therefore means that you may actually have a taste for meat and you may be able to acclimate yourself to the sight of blood. And having to acclimate yourself to tastes and sights does not necessarily mean that those tastes and sights are things that are not indicated for your physiology. So anyway.
It takes a special person to be a paramedic. To see blood spilt on the ground and to see trauma.
Okay, so now you're talking about human blood. So there's a personal aspect to that affects humans more than it would to see an animal like that on the road. Okay, be a lot different if I saw someone's guts spilled out on the road versus an animal's guts spilled out on the road. The latter of which I see every single day I drive. So there's a difference there. Sorry, it's just not exactly the most congruous analogy or example.
Cats and dogs, they're like, yeah, they're sniffing, they're licking the wounds. A real carnivore will lick up blood and pus. All right, if you're friendly with a cat.
Yeah, but remember, Durian Rider, we have the ability to reason, right? So we have the capacity to abstain from doing things like that, all right? By the way, they are more evolved to be eating raw foods than us. We've been cooking our food for 900,000 to 1 million years. God. Cats and dogs have not. The fact that we have conditioned cats and dogs to like cooked food and kibble is just, it's sad, because then you try and feed them raw food, and particularly cats, because dogs a lot of times will eat anything, interestingly enough. Cats are a little more picky with that. You try and feed them raw food, and if they're conditioned to eat something else, it's difficult. Anyway, you're going to talk about the fact that there are plenty of people in the carnivore space that eat raw meat. It's a new movement, okay, and it's garnering a larger following. I'm not one of those people, and nor do I really have the desire to be one of those people. Maybe further down the road, but wow, okay.
A dog, it'll lick your wounds. Now imagine if you've got your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your kids or whatever, and that's, oh, you scabbed your neck, oh, it's all pussy, let me lick it clean for you. You'll be like, hey dude, okay man.
Yeah, so I think we covered that pretty extensively just now with that very lengthy pause and monologue rhetoric.
It's up on that carnivore shit. You know, like a true carnivore salivates over blood and pus. That is their like.
No, not always, because humans don't.
That is their like. That's their sugar. Okay.
Well, see, now that's an interesting point there. You said that's their sugar, as if they also don't have their brains light up when they consume sugar. Cats, no, because they don't have the ability to taste sweet things. They don't have sweet receptors. Dogs do, and guess what? They'll lick that shit up too. But you wouldn't say, well, they should be eating carbohydrates primarily in their diet. Maybe you would, and if you were to say that, then I would shut the video off at that point. There's no point in further listening to what you have to say if you said that, okay? They literally have the teeth for being a carnivore. And before people say, well, that's not a good argument, Eddie, because you can't say that since we don't have those teeth, that we're not carnivores. Those aren't mutually exclusive. If an animal has teeth like that, they're a carnivore. If they don't have teeth like that, they're not necessarily not a carnivore. Those two things are both correct. So they have the teeth. They're a carnivore. But the reason I bring this up is because you want to talk about how they salivate over blood and pus. Okay, they salivate over animal meat, raw animal meat. Okay, putting aside the whole cooked versus raw thing, because once again, we've been cooking our food for 1 million years, probably 900,000 at least, and they haven't been. You therefore have undermined your own argument, because if you are to admit to the truth, that being that dogs will also eat sweet things because they love the taste of sweet things as well as humans, and would therefore also say simultaneously that doesn't necessarily mean that they should be eating largely carbohydrates, then the negation of that is also true. Just because humans don't salivate at the sight of raw meat and blood doesn't mean that we shouldn't be eating primarily meat and animal fat. Okay, so I know that was a little sophisticated, Durian Rider, but I hope that you can understand it after you get off your fruit-based diet.
True carnivore is humans. We can eat anything. We can eat. We cooked up wallpaper paste in World War II. Some people did to survive the starch in the wallpaper paste.
All animals can eat anything effectively. What is your point? What his point is, actually, to be intellectually honest here, is that just because we can eat meat doesn't mean that we should. That's basically what he's saying here. Yes, correct, on a logical basis, but we have other inferences that we derive our conclusions from, okay? And they're all in fields of science that you do not have any chance of understanding.
Cooked that up, and we mixed it with monkey brains and zoo animals. Humans do anything for survival, okay? That's
so what? Covered it.
Clear. Jordan Peterson, absolutely getting cancelled right now. This guy is an absolute...
Well, that aged well, because no.
He claims he reversed his hair loss with eating meats.
Yeah, that's a common anecdote. Not as common as things like, I don't know, the amelioration of type 2 diabetes, sometimes the amelioration of type 1 diabetes to at least a very great extent, with the help, of course, of Stem Enhance Ultra. Link on the bottom of the screen, actually. Stay tuned to the end of the video for me to talk about those if you haven't heard about them already. Great products. Or, I don't know, the amelioration of eczema, chronic skin conditions like eczema. Or, I don't know, the, frankly, almost inability to get sunburned any further. Those are all very common anecdotes. But yes, the amelioration of hair loss and actually the returning of growing hair, that's one. It doesn't mean it'll invariably happen to every single person, but okay.
He's denying a hair system, and if you run that system, if you get a hair transplant, it doesn't matter. It's all good. It's like, you know, whatever. He's denying it though. He's saying he ate meat and his hair grew back.
Are you actually sitting here saying that Jordan Peterson denied a hair transplant, that he got a hair transplant? Are you out of your And this is the thing. These are the people that called rational people conspiracy theorists for years. Because this bleeds into the political realm. It really does. I mean, it's like they say, the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 2 months, right? Because they all end up being true. But anyway, except this one, of course, because it's not true. Seriously, you have no evidence to support that claim at all.
It didn't work for Joe Rogan. That didn't work for anyone but you've drawn.
It doesn't mean that it will happen for everyone. You idiot. You absolute idiot. So when a fruitarian loses their hair as they age, are you going to say that it was because of the diet? I'm sure that you'll say otherwise.
Anyway, JP, Mr. Addicted to pharmaceutical, he's addicted to opioids.
Right, okay, so now if we haven't covered already and exemplified his ignorance, his arrogant ignorance and his hubris, we're also exemplifying his absolute sordid, squalid moral foundation here as well, because he's just being an asshole. Okay, do you know why that was happening in the first place? Do you actually understand why that was happening? Go ahead and look into it. Go ahead and look into why he was on that medication. Medication. I mean, really, it's not medication, but if you'd even bother to go look into it.
Antidepressant tablets, take away his drugs, and he will crumble.
Again, this aged very well, didn't it? Because Jordan is doing better than he ever has been, and ever has done in his adult life, I would suspect. I think by his own admission. So this aged really well, didn't it? So now you're also a piece of shit. So good. Remember what he said in the beginning, though. No hate towards these people. Just, getting some thoughts out there. Just getting some thoughts out there. Yeah. Well, so am I, Durian Rider. I'm just getting my thoughts out. No hate, man. Like you said, you're on the internet. We're all subjected to criticism.
As fast as he's crumbling now with his...
Right, so aged very well.
Encouraging the bombing of, civilians in Gaza there.
So he never did that, actually. So you want to get into this situation? I may censor it. I may put it on my Patreon only viewership. But that didn't happen. You do realize that civilians die in war. It's the reason why war isn't something that you want to encourage to happen very casually. You don't want to do that. So anyway, cool. Just the facts, though. Just the facts, though.
I'm not going to get into it too much here, but...
Yeah, so that's also a casual, that's a common thing where you say, oh, I'm going to say this certain thing or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and then I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to get into it, though. It's a way of basically shutting down the conversation so that you are the only one that gets your points out, but you prevent the other person from getting their points out. So anyway.
Look into it and, have a look at it. These are direct quotes.
Right, so I have looked into it. Okay?
Into it too much here, but...
See, because that's what I do before I open my mouth upon anything, is I look into things, and then I start talking about it.
These are direct quotes from Jordan's piece.
No, they're not direct quotes, you absolute liar. That is not a direct quote. I mean, even if you did convey exactly what he was implying, you have to say that was a paraphrasing. That's not a direct quote. That's not the definition of a direct quote. You absolute moron. You did not directly quote Jordan Peterson.
This isn't people making up rumors and...
Yes, it is. You just made up a rumor. You just lied. That's the best thing. Lies always disguise themselves as the truth. And they disguise the truth as lies. They cast aspersions at the truth and call it lies. That's literally the...
This is genuine stuff. Jordan Peterson.
No, it's not genuine stuff. It's fake stuff. No. Lie.
Failed big time.
Yeah, aged like milk, didn't it? Aged great. What a loser. What an actual abject loser. And this is what I mean. People can come online and they can say whatever the hell they want to. They can just say whatever the hell they want to, and they will get an audience if they promote it the right way. It's hilarious. It's scary, actually. But it imposes a demand on people like me and others, like the sensible people that watch my channel, to stand up to this nonsense. Because, listen, the stupidest people are the loudest ones. Anyway, let's continue.
Have you ever read one of his books?
Yeah, I have, in fact, actually. There's no way that you understood any of it. No way. Because frankly, someone like me, and I say this in the most humble way that I can configure this, I'm not an idiot, okay? There were multiple paragraphs, and that's putting it lightly, that took multiple rereads to fully comprehend. I studied that book. I didn't just read it. Anyway, yeah, you wouldn't have a hope in hell of understanding that at all. So let me guess. The next thing he's gonna say is that it was gibberish. What did I say? If someone doesn't understand something, then it's not their fault. It's the other people's fault. Well, I don't understand what you're saying, so you must be the idiot. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Because since I am omniscient, then if I don't understand something, oh, well then, it's the other person's fault. They're stupid. I just covered this in the beginning, didn't I? Let's guess. How much do you want to bet?
It's in the airport the other day in Manila, or wherever it was. It's near Bali or Indonesia. So I saw JP's book, and I was like, let me have a look. And I was like, this is a verbose waffle spiel.
Yep, there it is. Wow. Thanks for admitting to all of your viewers that you're an idiot and that you don't know how to actually interpret, very meticulously sift and peruse through the words to try and understand the sophistication of the sentences. Okay? Yeah, it takes some brain power. Brain power that's not fueled by fructose.
So who's reading this stuff? It's just like, oh my god, it's so...
Yeah, you if you actually did try and understand it, you might learn something from it. It's so funny that the people that read that book and fully comprehend it are the people that need to read it the least. It's people like you that should be learning from it.
It's just the waffle, man. The waffle.
Yeah, okay. So offensive, arrogant, ignorant, narcissistic, low conscientiousness, dolt, wad, right here.
Anyway, so carnivore diet is absolute bullshit.
So that's your silly, inane little opinion, founded in nonsense, founded in a complete misunderstanding and miscomprehension of human physiology and chemical anthropology. You moron. You sad excuse for a health influencer.
Carnivore fitness doesn't exist.
What? So this video is called The Carnivore Diet Debunked in 14 Minutes. And wow, this is what we're getting? So that was just a clickbait title because that's not what's happening here. I mean, seriously, thank you. I really complain about these videos a lot, but I should be thanking these people because they are the ones that give me the content to react to put them in their place, to show people how stupid these people are, to discourage anyone from watching these channels. Thank you for putting this up. Videos like this. Seriously, you make my job easier. And at least I'm doing you a favor in multiple ways.
That trying to do ketosis, like it.
I mean, if you took a biochemistry class, you'd understand that fatty acids and ketones are very easily used for ATP production in the presence of, I don't know, adequate amounts of enzymes for beta oxidation, ketone oxidation, and optimal hormonal status, I to G ratio, low I to G ratio, with no problems whatsoever.
Anyone with any fitness experience, it just laughs at the notion you can perform.
Right, so appeal to consensus and appeal to authority. Those are tightly intertwined, always. So we know that those are argumentative fallacies for a reason. So anyway, great, good job. So you start off strong with all this nonsensical rhetoric, and then in the middle, you fall on your face again. So you don't even get momentum going, and then you still fall directly on your face with your pants around your ankles and your shirt over your head. So let's get up and try again. Let's see if you can gracefully reach the finish line.
Better in ketosis than with full muscle glycogen from eating.
Well, I'm sorry. So begging the question fallacy right there. Full muscle glycogen. I mean, last I checked, since I actually understand exercise physiology and muscle energetics and how muscles work, more than 99% of people online in this space, last I checked, if you do not have glycogen in your muscles, your muscles will not twitch. And if that glycogen is not replenished, that cell will succumb to irreversible tetanus. There is no evidence that gluconeogenesis does not provide adequate glycogen for physical performance. In fact, if anything, the most common associative factor with progressive muscle fatigue during an exercise is a lowering of blood glucose. And what hormone allows for the increase in circulation of endogenously produced glucose that is higher in ketogenic individuals as compared to the one that promotes the exact opposite activity? Insulin. Glucagon. So if anything, in a ketogenic state, and I know this from personal experience, if I have fasted for 48 hours and I exercise, my muscular output, my physical output, is explosive. Far more than if I had just eaten. Now, does that necessarily have to exclusively do with glucagon and insulin? No, because there's also a blood flow aspect to it, because a lot of your blood flow, most of it, goes towards your stomach during digestion. But it is also heavily impacted even when I have a very small amount of food. So it tells me something.
Eating glucose, fructose, and sucrose. And anyone with half a...
Right, so gluconeogenesis, okay? Now, he's going to say the same thing again. Anyone with half a brain cell. Anyone with half a brain cell. It's just projection. That's what these people do. The stupidest people think that everyone else is stupid, and they say that everyone is stupid more often than anyone else does. It's that sort of extremes on the bell curve thing of intelligence. The people at the very left say, these people are so stupid, and the people at the very right say the exact same thing. But arguably, there's more people on the very left of the curve than there are people on the very right. So, anyway.
An ounce of fitness experience understands that ketosis is the lowest form of health you can be in.
No, they don't understand that at all. They believe that because they're idiots. They're ignorant, okay? Like you.
Your performance sucks. You literally can't sprint. You can't smash.
That is a lie. Yes, you can. And also, it doesn't necessarily suck. That is an absolute lie. An abject lie that you just spewed out of your stupid mouth.
You can't smash PRs.
Another lie that came directly out of your oral orifice. Your stupid, inane mouth. You're just saying words to a screen. That's what you're doing. Okay? okay? Let's introduce some sophistication into your arguments. Let's lay out a foundation here.
A pigeon on the ground just walking fast. Can't fly though. Or that pigeon.
Oh, that's stupid. That is a stupid analogy, isn't it? An absolutely stupid analogy, because that is equivalent to a bird that seems sick, injured. That doesn't happen when people are in a ketogenic state, in ketosis, okay? Unless they're extremely unfamiliar with being in such a state, which does happen, okay? If you transition from your regular diet to a diet that I'm talking about overnight, in effect, okay? Ever heard of the keto flu? That's what that is. I just want to say something though. If you are someone that engages in very intense physical activity and you are attempting to change your diet from the one that you are on right now, that is typically a normal diet, maybe even low fat and high carb, not simply mixed, to a carnivore ketogenic diet that consists of primarily the flesh and associated fat of large ruminant animals, with added fat in the forms of butter, tallow, lard, suet, ghee, added salt to taste, and water, eggs if you tolerate it, dairy if you tolerate it well, you just get the low carb dairy. You must expect a dip, even if slight, in performance for 6 months or more. It may only be 3 months, but it can take a while. Now, I know that that sounds very discouraging, and I understand that. But anecdotally speaking, from all the anecdotes that I've heard, after you are fully fat adapted, so you reach past that 6 month, 3, 6, maybe even 9 month mark, your performance becomes even better than it was whenever you were at your top performance on your regular previous diet. Invariably, I haven't heard anything different. And that includes me, because mine is better than it ever has been. I'm not a good example though, because I only started really engaging in physical training, like resistance training, after I was carnivore. So not a really good control there, or comparison. Okay, let's continue.
This is superior health. It can't fly like a pigeon can. You can't run anymore. You can't run fast. But you're better health? No, you're not. If the organism had...
So that's your opinion. That is your stupid opinion, once again. And that's just what I keep saying. Opinion, opinion, opinion. This is your stupid monologue based in ignorance. It is based in ignorance. Stupidity, frankly. And arrogance.
Reduced performance. Its health has gone downhill. Simple as that.
Or it's injured. We see your point, yeah, but covered that.
You can disagree with me, you're still going to be wrong. If the frog can't jump as...
Okay, can you slow the down? Because that's the third time you've done that. You disagree with me. Okay, we're not understanding you because you're not speaking coherently and cogently. Okay? Speak words.
Us that normally can jump, its health is down. If the salmon can't swim away from the bear like it normally can, its health is down. If
we get it.
Human can't sprint blocks after blocks after blocks, the health is down, okay?
I'm sorry, no. What if they just didn't train for it? What the f? Also, people are genotypically different. They're definitely phenotypically different as well. So then you've got two confounders. You get a genotypic difference and also a phenotypic difference. So it takes training to be able to do that. So you're a moron. If people can't run like me. So again, the solipsism, the narcissism exuding from him.
Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. Simple as that. Wow, it really is simple. This really is simple, but he can't grasp it.
Running is the most natural exercise for... It's the most natural movement for humans. Okay?
Natural? Really? Because if you're talking about jogging, no it isn't. Because you were just talking about a 5K earlier. That involves jogging, not sprinting. That's not natural, is it?
Simple as that. And most people, they can't even run. And I'm not laughing at the people who physically can't run because they have an injury or an accident or a birth situation. No. We're talking...
Okay. So it doesn't change anything else that I've said so far, at all.
Every person out there like Shawn Baker or whatever, or just these people out there who claim they're like kicking ass in keto. You can't even run.
Are you serious? So again, just desperation, just to cope. It's just saying words, it's lying. And the thing is these arguments, given how obviously desperately fake that they are, it makes it so much less entertaining. It's boring. It's just like, please engage, contend with the actual arguments at hand, the actual diet. You know, say what you want about all the other people that I critique on this channel. They at least put forth arguments that are still based in some truth. This is just stuff that you're pulling out of your asshole and throwing at the screen. They're just words. You're just saying things. You're just lying. Okay? Your arrogance is talking, really. That's the only thing that's talking here. Not any rational intellect, if you have any. Which, I don't know. I guess that's up for you guys to decide.
You can't run to save your life. You can't even bust it.
Well, to save their lives, I'm sure that they could, actually, yeah.
Sub 10 minute mile. That is not health, okay? And everyone in the carnivore world has failed health.
That's not true. So again, just words thrown at the screen. I'm about to stop this video because seriously, you've got to stop. Say something else that isn't just absolute bullshit. I mean, the amount of proof and evidence that you're bringing forth to the table is the same amount that I have to give in response to your stupid arguments. I mean, you just keep saying carnivore isn't healthy, and all I have to say is, yeah, it is. It means the same amount. Bring some data, some stats, some fundamental, rudimentary human physiology to the table so that we can make some inferences, some comparative anatomy. Start citing some observational paleoanthropology, some chemical paleoanthropology, some physics, some chemistry. The reason I say physics is because of calories and kilocalories. Okay, because at the end of the day, all you're doing right now is just saying things like, isn't that stupid, bro? That's stupid. These people are stupid. Stupid. This is just a yes, no game. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Boring.
Ailed health.
False. See?
Imagine if I was an animal trainer. No, imagine if I was a vet and I'm looking after dogs and cats. And you look at the dog and you go, oh, it sort of looks sort of healthy. And I throw the dog a ball. Here, go fetch, Oscar. Go fetch Sammy. And the dog just sort of limps after the ball. It doesn't run. It can't run. And you're like, damn, the dog's sick? What, that Kelpie can't run? That greyhound can't.
This doesn't happen when you are in ketosis. You absolute, utter f***ing buffoon. Shut down your f***ing channel. Delete all of your videos. Stop talking publicly about health. Stop doing it. It really needs to stop. I have no problem with people sharing their experiences on a diet that I disagree with. I have no problems with people saying, hey, if you want to do this, I can help you. Here's what I think is right. Blah, 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 blah. Here's what I eat in a day on this diet. Blah, 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 blah. I've covered this before. This is the shit that I have a problem with. You don't know what you're talking about. Can you exemplify and demonstrate any understanding of human physiology, exercise physiology, muscle energetics, paleoanthropology, comparative anatomy, biochemistry, etc., and C, Durian Rider? No, you can't, and I will take that to the grave. I know that you can't.
What sort of vet are you, Harley? You know what I mean? Nobody on the carnivore diet can run, can sprint.
That is a lie. You are just saying words. I wouldn't even say that about vegans, because I'm sure there are plenty that can. What the I promise, it's almost over. It really is. Not the video. We're not finishing this video, but my screen recording. Once it stops, we're done.
Yes, you have your frauds out there like Zach Bitter and all these people. Oh, I don't get. They're smashing sugar. Ask their mutual friends. Look at the videos, people filming them in races, just smashing back Coca-Cola, full sugar Coke, Cliff Bars, sugary gels.
I don't know who he's talking about, and frankly, with all the lies that he said in this video, it wouldn't surprise me if he's just making up now too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but see, that's also what I'm careful about. If I don't know, then I keep my mouth shut once again.
Chalky cake, all right?
Chalky?
Frauds, man. Okay, no one's doing it. Right? It's absolute fraud.
Yeah, no one's doing it. So also, not to mention the fact that people are doing it, even if it were the case that no one that is carnivore or ketogenic is running these races and crushing world records and blah, blah, blah. Two things. Number one, it may very well be the case that there actually are plenty of them, but they're just not telling people because it's their secret. They don't want other people to know because they want to trounce the competition. But second of all, even if it genuinely were the case that no one is really doing it, that doesn't mean that it can't be done, and that it can't be done even better as compared to all the people that are consuming a different diet, okay? So that's silly. Well, no one's doing it. So that's basically just appeal to consensus still.
Anyway, that's the ramble. What's the rant? The carnivore diet.
That was it? First of all, no, it wasn't, because we've got another 4 minutes left of this video. But second of all, if that's really all of the substance there was, if you can even call it that, frankly, I'm just going to iterate what I said earlier. You need to shut down your channel. This was atrocious. This was pathetic. You have no understanding of physiology whatsoever. You know how to ride a bike and run. Congratulations. That does not make it the case that you have a full understanding of all these things that I have a full understanding of, and that you can therefore responsibly give people advice on what they should and shouldn't do with their health. And not only that, but to cast aspersions at people that know far more than you do, and are far more genuinely qualified to talk about this than you are. Like, I don't know, Dr. Shawn Baker, or who else did you mention? Well, Andrew Huberman.
Absolute fraud. But hey.
Okay, so you can keep saying the word over and over again, but you didn't give any evidence as to how Shawn Baker was a fraud. You didn't even give any evidence as to how Paul Saladino was a fraud, and there's plenty there.
There's plenty of dumb Aussies out there and dumb Americans and dumb...
Well, he's not wrong, if you catch my drift.
Who would want to hear good things about their bad habits, and they have like...
Wow, he's just stealing my words from my mouth, isn't he? Just using it against the opponent, his opponent, plural, opponents, irresponsibly and incorrectly. This is just fallacious, erroneous nonsense. Please, Durian Rider, hearken my words. Shut down your channel for the sake of the world, please.
Homer Simpson mentality. Well, bacon's good. I'll eat more bacon. But bacon's good. I'm your best friend. Yeah. I'll pay you whatever you pay. Anyway, but Paul Saladino, please come clean about your anabolic steroid usage.
Yeah,
right?
This is just ridiculous. Yeah, so we're done here. The screen recording is done. It's stopping right now. This is just a bunch of nonsense. Paul Saladino, you can say a lot about him, and I've done so on this channel. In fact, saying that he is on anabolic steroids is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. That is nonsensical. He may or may not be. I do not think that it is significant enough of a speculation in terms of its integrity, because Paul Saladino's muscle mass is perfectly attainable, including on a diet such as his. Okay, he eats plenty of animal protein. I'm not concerned about him being on anabolic steroids. Another desperate evasion from an ignorant imbecile online. Just the imbecilic nonsense spewing from his mouth. That was worse than I'm used to. That was a different one. Did not expect the stupidity out of that one. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And also, once again, if you haven't subscribed to the Patreon, go ahead and do that in the description below. And also, once again, same thing for my book, Contrainidicated. The second edition is projected to be out on April 1st in audiobook, ebook, and paperback and hardcover formats. So stay tuned for that. But once that happens, the first edition that is currently out will no longer be able to be purchased. So if you want that special limited edition feel, go ahead and consider buying in the description below. And finally, most importantly, as I alluded to earlier, the link on the bottom of the screen. What is that link? Well, that is a link that will bring you to an amazing site with amazing products from an amazing brand known as Cerule. If you purchase product through the link, you will get a permanent discount and permanent free shipping discount as well when signing up for monthly deliveries. And if you email me behind the scenes at edgoki14@gmail.com, I can let you know how to earn those products for free. Because who in their right mind wouldn't want that? But of course, I wouldn't even consider buying any product at all, including these ones, if you don't know what they are. So fortunately for you, I have a video that does exactly that. Linked in the top right corner of the screen, the Cerule Products link, which is a complete video elucidation and explanation of what those products are, who should take them, why you should take them, when to take them, etc., etc. And I would also refer to the link in the description below, which is a video between myself and Professor Bart K on these products in further detail, as well as the company of Cerule itself, which I think is incredibly important if you are considering contributing towards them through a purchase through my link. So with that being said, join me next time when we react to someone else that is not nearly as imbecilic and ignorant as Durian Rider, I suspect. So, till then.